There's about a week left of the 2025-2026 NBA season, so I'd like to share with you my official award predictions and playoff predictions for the rest of the season. Off with the MVP race, and it's been really close these last few weeks, or months you can say, but I feel like now coming down to the back end of the season, it's really SGA by a long shot. In this season, he's breaking the record for most consecutive 20-point games, breaking one of Wilt Chamberlain's records, which is in and of itself insane. And he's averaged the second most points this season, with 31 points per game. And he's also leading OKC to the best record in the entire NBA, and he might surpass 65 games won this season. So yeah, that's my pick for MVP, and I'm not changing it. Next is the Rookie of the Year battle, and I call it a battle for a reason, because there are two hitters that, well, it's a really close battle for obvious reasons. Starting off with Cooper Flagg. So, Cooper Flagg, he's averaging 21.1 points, 6.6 rebounds, and 4.6 assists on amazing 47% efficiency, but a weak 30% from the three, which for a rookie is not bad, but the real reason is him just carrying the Mavs. He's not carrying them for wins, but scoring-wise, he's doing everything for the team. He has a rookie record with 40-plus points scored 4 different times, and he even had a 51-point game, 49-point game, and last night, 45 points against the Los Angeles Lakers. Well, as of April 6th, obviously, 2026. So yeah, that's one of the two that are being picked for Rookie of the Year. And in second place, there's Kon Knueppel. He's averaging 18.7 points, but the headliner is his 3-point percentage. Obviously, 48% from the field is amazing for a rookie, but it's really the 43% from the three. He has a record for most threes made by a rookie, and he's destroying that record, by the way. He's honestly in conversations for being one of the best 3-point shooters of all time, and he might even surpass Steph Curry's 4,000 3-pointers made. But for me, I think being the number one option on your team as a rookie, season 1, I think that's the most impressive part. Cooper Flagg is my pick for Rookie of the Year. Next is my pick for the Sixth Man of the Year award. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I think Jaime Jaquez should win this award. He deserves it. He is the best player off the bench by far from any player in the league. 15 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists on 50% field goal shooting. That's a lot of 5s. But at the end of the day, this is my predictions, not who I think should win the award. And Keldon Johnson has minus 500 odds of winning, so he's my pick for the Sixth Man of the Year. But I said this before, Jaime Jaquez is the best player off the bench. I want that to be known. He should be, and he deserves the Sixth Man of the Year award. Next, there's my pick for the DPOY, and it's Wemby. It's just Wemby. He has one more game to play as of April 6th, 2026, to be eligible for all awards. He's gonna play the next game, so yeah, he's DPOY. Defensive rating of 100.8, 3.8 blocks, 1.1 steals, and 11.5 rebounds per game. I don't know why I'm even doing this part. Everyone knows this shit. Come on. Next is the most improved player, and I'm gonna be honest. This award is extremely broken, because in my opinion, the most improved player should be the most improved player that no one saw coming. Like, for example, Colin Gillespie. He should be the most improved player, in my opinion, because I am damn sure that nobody in the comments thought that Colin Gillespie was gonna average 13 points per game on 42% field goal percentage. He went from the 12th man on the roster to a legit starter. No one saw that coming, I promise you. But since the MIP is not about that, then it's between two players, in my opinion, Jalen Duren and Deni Avdija. But I think that Jalen Duren was a bit more surprising than Denny because Denny, he wasn't even that bad last season. He was pretty good. He was the first option on the Blazers last year, and he's still the first option this year. And the notable reason why everyone knew he was going to break out was because, well, Damian Lillard was injured, but they didn't have him to begin with, which it's kind of like a loophole, but whatever. I don't think he deserves this. All NBA, he definitely deserves a spot, but Jalen Duren, what he's doing is amazing. Without Cade Cunningham in the lineup, everyone thought that, well, the Pistons season was over. But then Jalen Duren came out of nowhere and said, you know what? Let me just carry the team. They have lost only 2 games since Cade Cunningham collapsed his lung, and he's averaging nearly 20 points, 11 rebounds, on 64% shooting from the field. He's had multiple 30 and 10 games throughout the month, and he's been playing out of his mind carrying the Pistons. I also want to say an honorable mention, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, because, well, he went from averaging almost like 7 points to now 21 points per game. I mean, the Hawks signed him with the purpose of him being a defensive guy, but then they got a legitimate scorer plus a defensive guy. So I love that for them. But ultimately, I got Jalen Duren winning this award. And that's all. Next up is my pick for the Coach of the Year. And there isn't a better candidate than Mitch Johnson. Last year, the Spurs missed the playoffs entirely. And Victor Wembanyama, well, he missed most of the second half of that season. But in the first half, they weren't even that good either. But this year, the only thing that they did was adding Dylan Harper. And now they went from missing the playoffs entirely to, well, now the second best team in the entire NBA, only behind OKC. And the main change that they did, other than adding Dylan Harper, as I said before, was Greg Popovich retiring from the game of basketball. And they had to hire someone completely different that nobody has heard of to, well, take his place completely. So, props to him for carrying this team. They're 59-26 while I'm recording this, and they could be the team that can take down OKC. And that's my pick for Coach of the Year. Congratulations, Mitch Johnson. These are my All-NBA team selections and my final seedings for the East and the West. Finally, it's the time to talk about my entire playoff predictions. Now, as you guys can see, I already built out the playoffs. I already made the play-in happen. The Clippers won in the 7-8 game, and whoever comes out of the 9-10, the Suns are going to beat them. I don't think the Warriors or even the Trailblazers can match up against them. So yeah, and in the East, the Hornets, I mean, they're hot, so I would be surprised if they don't win the 7-8 matchup. And the 76ers, I mean, I have them falling to 7th, but they can still make a deep playoff run. So, with all that out of the way, here's our first matchup. We're going to start in the Western Conference with the 1-8 matchup of the Thunder versus the Suns. And I have OKC sweeping the Suns. I mean, their defense, they can lock up Jalen Green, they can lock up Devin Booker, even Dylan Brooks. And I don't think that the Suns defense can match up with the Thunder offense. And I mean, it's just going to be domination and complete mismatches on the floor. So that's why I have the Thunder sweeping them and moving on to the second round. Next, we have the 2-7 matchup, and it's the Spurs versus the Clippers. And I got the Spurs in 5. I think it's definitely going to be tougher because the Clippers offense is impeccable, but I still have the Spurs destroying them. They don't have an answer for Wemby or honestly any of the Spurs starters. And well, the reason I have the Clippers winning one game, maybe in like game 4, Kawhi can just start going crazy then he hits like 45 points and they win. But I don't see them going to the second round, especially if they go up against the MVP of the league, or at least one of them, Victor Wembanyama. And then we move on to the 3-6 matchup, the Nuggets versus the Timberwolves. And this is definitely going to be cinema. We've seen this for the last few years. Every time Anthony Edwards and Nikola Jokic match up, it's always going to be amazing. But I have the Timberwolves winning in 6, no 7-game series this time. Because this year, after trading for Cam Johnson, they let go of Michael Porter Jr. They are horrible in the clutch. They are 29th in clutch defense and 24th in defensive ratings in the entire game. So yeah, they're very, very bad at defense. And well, Anthony Edwards, he's Anthony Edwards, and Julius Randle, I feel like he could just cook up this entire series, especially if he has Cam Johnson, or even Aaron Gordon, honestly, on him. And finally, there's the Rockets versus the Lakers. And I'm going to have the Rockets winning in 6 games. Because, well, obviously, Los Angeles is without their top 2 scorers of Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic. Austin Reeves, even if the Lakers come back in the second round, he will not come back. Luka Doncic, though, he's going to Spain to get special treatment. So we can hope that he comes back for the first round. But even if, I still feel like they can't rely on a 41-year-old LeBron to be even the second best scorer. We've seen him take a step back to be the third best scorer on his team so that his team can succeed. And they almost went on a 10-game winning streak if it wasn't for Detroit. And honestly, their depth is just horrible. They have Bronny James playing significant minutes with these injuries. And even in normal games, he still gets about like 10 minutes per game, which LA cannot do that. As long as they still go on a 10-man rotation, they can probably go down to like 8, but even then, it's not going to be a good matchup, especially because of their defense. Their defense is horrible, one of the worst ratings in the league. So yeah, I think because the Rockets, they're definitely not the best on offense, but then again, the Lakers are worse. I feel like they can still steal 2 games, but no Game 7s in the first round of the Western Conference. Now moving on to the East, where we will start with the Detroit Pistons against the Philadelphia 76ers. I do see the 76ers losing the 7-8 matchup to the Charlotte Hornets, but there's no way that they're losing to either the Magic or the Heat. So, for the Philadelphia 76ers, I think this is going to be a really, really, really tough matchup. I think Detroit is going to win in 5 games. The only reason that I have them winning 1 game at least is, well, Detroit offense without Cade Cunningham can be a little inconsistent at times. So I think the 76ers can one night light up from like the 3-point line. But the highlight of this team is defense, defense, defense. They have Amen Thompson, they have Jalen Duren, they have honestly everybody on this team can lock up your favorite player. That's why I have them winning in 5 games, moving on to the second round. Next is the 2-7 matchup, where there's the Celtics versus the Hornets. And I have the Boston Celtics sweeping the Hornets. Because even if the Charlotte Hornets are a confident, strong, and young team with amazing shooting and, as I said before, great confidence, and they're super hot this season, the Celtics are just one of the best teams in the entire NBA with Jason Tatum back, barely losing any games. And Tatum, he's been amazing since his ACL tear, so I don't see why they can make a very deep playoff run. Then we have the 3 versus 6 matchup, and this one, I think the Raptors could give Cleveland some trouble because, well, with elimination Harden, I don't see why Toronto can't force a tough series. But ultimately, I have Cleveland winning in 6 games because I feel like the mesh of James, Mitchell, and Mobley, and even Jared Allen at times, is a perfect blend of talent. And this is a team that should be going to the second round with their great offense. Now, finally, we have the 4 versus 5 matchup, where I have the Knicks winning in 5 because even though Atlanta is on fire these last few weeks, New York would lock them up with OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges. And the Hawks don't have any decent defensive matchup for both JB and Cat, other than Nah, but he can't guard both of them, right? So I feel like JB might go crazy this series. And I have them winning in 5 games, going up against their toughest matchup yet, the Detroit Pistons. Here are my second round matchups. First of all, we have the Thunder versus Rockets. And I have the Thunder winning in either 5 or 6 games, one of those two. I don't see it going 7 or more than that, because as we saw in the start of the season, actually the first game of the season, Houston is a great matchup for OKC, as they made every game tight throughout the season, especially the first one that went to overtime. Although OKC didn't have J-Dub, their second best scorer back then, and now they do. They can score way easier with him, and I think that is what gives them the 2-game edge over the Rockets, sending them to the conference finals. Next up is going to be the Timberwolves versus the Spurs, and I have the Spurs winning, but in 7 games. This is definitely going to be the best matchup so far, as the rivalry between Ant-Man and Wemby continues. Minnesota coming back from an upset against an MVP candidate, and now they're going to have to go up against another one, being Slenderman. But Ant-Man is just way too dominant, and even Julius Randle and also Jaden McDaniels can make the series fun and tight because of their defense, and Julius Randle as well. Unexpected shooting, we can say. But obviously, Victor Wembanyama, he's a different breed this year. He's going crazy, he's locked in. And as well as Stephon Castle, a great breakout player for the Spurs. And obviously the Spurs have great depth. Luke Cornett, Dylan Harper, the list goes on and on and on. And that is why I got San Antonio getting this one in the bag. 7-game series at most. Next, we're going to go back to the Eastern Conference, where we got the Pistons versus the Knicks. This is going to be a very, very fun series. Mostly because they're going to have Cade Cunningham back in this season. And even with the Knicks being a very deep team, their defensive inconsistency can show out in the biggest moments. Like, for example, after winning the NBA Cup. They started to struggle again against faster teams, and they couldn't integrate Cat into the offensive game plan, which actually put him in a lot of mock trades. But they came back. They're the 3 seed now, or in my opinion, they're going to be the 3 seed. But in my opinion, they rely way too much on their starters, and to add insult to injury, well, obviously I said this before, Cade Cunningham will be fully healthy to come in and step up on the offensive end with Jalen Duren. To combine that with their defense, this will be a win for Detroit in 6 games. Next, we got the Cavs versus Celtics. Another very, very explosive team, well, both of them being explosive teams. And I have the East being competitive with 2 Game 6s in the second round, where it will be Boston's pleasure to take down Cleveland. This young, inexperienced team doesn't have enough time in the playoffs, and their only playoff-ready vet, he's scared of big games, which is very important, where he needs to step up. You can't have that when going up against the newly contending Celtics, who can easily win this series in 5. But I still feel like the Cavs can still hold their own on the offensive end, but it won't be enough to last. And I have the Celtics winning in 6, going up against the Pistons in the conference finals, which will be very, very electric. Here are my updated brackets. And now, finally, the moment we've all been waiting for, the 2 final rounds of the playoffs, starting with the Thunder versus the Spurs. This is definitely going to be the best series yet. OKC versus San Antonio was cinema in the regular season, and it will hopefully be in the playoffs as well. In the regular season, though, the Spurs almost swept the Thunder, going 4-1 against them, and Wemby was on a minutes restriction on 3 of those games. However, in that one huge loss, the Spurs and the fans of the NBA found out that OKC had figured out how to stop the Spurs. And this will obviously be a battle. In my opinion, a 7-game battle. But in the end of the day, Wemby is Wemby. And no one can stop him when he's against his rivals and he's on a mission. And this year, he's on a damn mission. I got the Spurs winning in 7 games and going to their first NBA Finals since 2014. Next, on the Eastern Conference Finals, I should be more specific, the Pistons against the Celtics. The Pistons are an extremely young team without any proper playoff experience, except one series versus the Knicks. If they go up against the Celtics with JT, JB, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, Amaze Keita, all of those people, they wouldn't stand a chance, especially because we saw this before and Detroit won by a point, 104-103, where they struggled on offense, but this was without Tatum back, so this can be an easy 5-game series for Boston to go up against Wemby in the finals, where, in my opinion, the 2026 NBA champions will be the San Antonio Spurs, where the Celtics lose in a hard-fought 6-game series to the player that was on a mission, show everyone why he's the best player in the world no matter what, and this is what he does as he lifts up the trophy as the 2026 NBA champs are the San Antonio Spurs. Finals MVP, Victor Wembanyama. Thank you guys so much for watching. Ride with this, I promise you. I'm going to show you my full bracket later. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is my first video back from 6 months ago, so I hope you guys like it. I planned this to be a banger, hopefully it was. And see you guys in the next one. Peace.